And welcome to this episode of TED Talk Stamps, brought to you from the beautiful island of Madeira, where I am currently living in the city of Caniço. And out there, under all that cloud cover, is the island of Porto Santo. And that's where Zarco, the explorer, actually landed way back in, 500 years ago or so. And from there, they looked out and discovered the island of Madeira. So we're back on the island of Madeira to stay. We're going to be in this apartment until December while we wait for the sale of our, or for the purchase of our apartment to close in December. We have to wait until December because the current owner has only owned it for less than 2 years, and if he sells within 2 years, he's got a bigger, capital gains tax to pay. So we agreed to wait until December, and then we will be in the major city of Funchal. Although we're not going to have that beautiful ocean view that you just saw. We also won't have the, the crane view either. Anyways, hey, today's show I want to share some covers with you. I'm not a cover collector, but these were donated to me by a viewer, Ben, who had them passed down to him. But he's not a stamp collector, he's a coin collector. And he reached out to me to see if I'd be interested in taking them off his hands, and I said, sure. And this is what the stash looked like. And these are almost all space covers. And along with some newspaper clippings of various space-related articles. And taking a closer look, like I said, most of them are space. These are miscellaneous other covers. This is from the Compex 78 Philatelic Exhibition in Chicago. Another one. Compex again, no cachet. Here's the first flight cover for the inaugural flight between Newark, New Jersey and London on April 30th, 1978. And there was a address label there, but the adhesive dried up, fell off. Undeliverable for reason stated, return to sender. Look on the back side, and the reason stated is that it was not called for at the London Airport Central Post Office. And let's see, a couple of Garfield Perry Stamp Club in Cleveland, Ohio, 85th anniversary. I guess they had a stamp exhibition station, and the Royal Swedish Post Office was there, along with the United Nations Postal Authority. This is just, looks like it was a correspondence from Dan Barber, the editor of the Jet section of the American Airmail Society in Lansing, Michigan. And this was from the Savannah Stamp Club, honoring the 50th anniversary of the first airmail, the inauguration of airmail service in Savannah, Georgia. And then here's a first day cover for the first United States self-adhesive stamp from Christmas of 1974. And you see this brown color of the stamp? That's not the actual color. If you look, you see some spots of white. That's the actual color. The brown is discoloration due to the acidity of the self-adhesive. That is a big problem with these Christmas self-adhesives. So that's the miscellaneous covers. Start looking at some of the space covers. They all came, no, just about all, came in the original cellophane envelopes that they were mailed to the customer in. And I have removed them all because, for one thing, you can see how these are, it's a little bit tan colored. That's because it's acidic and it's not good for the paper. Also, on many of the covers, the cellophane shrunk while the cover didn't. And you can see many of the covers got distorted, got crinkled due to the shrinkage of the cellophane. So taking a look at the rest of the covers now. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on each one because the video will take forever then. This is a cover from June of 1972 for the Earth Resources aircraft project. This is for a NASA U-2 spy plane flight to back up the ERTS-1 satellite. And the ERTS-1, that later became known as Landsat. It was a satellite that observed the Earth and observing the land and getting data about the land and changes and this and that. So here's that belongs back in here. So this is, these are various ship covers. I have them all kind of categorized. So these have ship caches, and not sure what most of these were for. I guess some of them would be like this one, the prime recovery ship for the Apollo-Soyuz mission. Another Apollo-Soyuz. The USNS Vanguard, Viking B. Next, have some various covers for satellite launches and balloon launches. So here we have the Meteoroid Technology Satellite, launched from Wallops Island, Virginia. This one was a launch from Roswell, New Mexico, Vandenberg Air Force Base. Here's the launch of the Olympic Relay Satellite, the fourth Intelsat 4. So that also ties into an Olympics topical collection. Here's one from Cape Canaveral, the U.S.-Canada Joint Communications Technology Satellite, an RCA SATCOM-A satellite, Skynet 2 British Defence Communications Satellite. And then this one from the British Scientific Research Satellite with a stamp showing, it's a Great Britain stamp, but it's showing, looks like Ralph Cramden from the Honeymooners in his bus driver's uniform. Before I get on to the rest of the space, show you these. Go over these newspaper clippings. See what we got. Well, this isn't really space, but it's a article from Stamps magazine, October 1977, on Charles Lindbergh, the Flying Fool. So anyway, moving along, there's a U.S. defense spending in space to skyrocket. Gosh, these editors are too clever with their headlines, huh? Here we have, oh man, of Voyager, March 5th flyby of Jupiter. That's from February of 1979. U.S. laser destroys missile. Mitchell's doing fine. Yeah, what do we have here? Cosmonauts end their record space flight. From 1982, the first rocket launched by a private company. So take that, SpaceX. Oh my God. 1973, the Soviet space station is powerless. But of course, well, there's sad news. TWA is halting Kansas drinks. What? Transworld Airlines announced Tuesday that it would join with Continental, Braniff, and Frontier Airlines in obeying a request by the state of Kansas not to serve liquor on flights in the state. Oh, aren't they just so virtuous in Kansas? Dateline Moscow, the Soviet Union's Lunokhod moon buggy has swerved and skidded into the foothills of the Taurus Mountains. Reckless Russian drivers. Ah, look at that. A Russian satellite down in Canada. The Canadian National Department of Defense said Sunday night a Soviet satellite re-entered the Earth's atmosphere in Canada's Northwest Territories in a descent that lighted the sky for hundreds of miles. Now, personally, I would have said it lit the sky for hundreds of miles, but this isn't a newspaper clipping, it is what? It's an article from the Astrophile, which I'm not sure if that is a philatelic organization, the journal for it or what. But the gist of this was that, can we see that? In this picture, you see a grouping of cosmonauts. But look at this guy. Somehow he got on the bad side of the KGB or whoever, and in a later photograph, he's airbrushed out. What happened to him? You'll have to read it and find out. Now, and then the final one. This is a good one. From 1979. Can you tell where this is? Voyager discovers a stormy Jupiter. Jupiter and two of its moons, 1, 2, are photographed by Voyager, 12.4 million miles from the planet. Dang, and it looks that big. And this was just within a few days of its closest approach. This was on Friday. Monday it would be at its closest. Here's a lot more stuff about it. Neato. All right, so looking at some of these other ones. I couldn't even begin to tell you what all these are about, except for what I read. This one has a Canal Zone stamp from 1972. This one's postmarked Germany. Deutsche Bundespost looks like it was a satellite tracking station. Smithsonian Astrophysical Observing Station in Greece, mailed from Greece. Ooh, secret satellite toward a polar orbit. Another secret satellite from 1972. Here's the ESRO-4 satellite, the European Space Research Organization, from 1972. Weather satellite from October 72, the Bomark target missile destroyed by air-to-air or ground-to-air missiles in the Pacific near Point Mugu, California. This is from Vandenberg Air Force Base, 1972. And an Aero B missile launch from Vandenberg. Now, these were just all grouped together because they were in similar airmail covers. So, other than that, I don't know if there's any particular connection between them all. There's another one with a grouping in airmail covers. This is a high-altitude camera launch to photograph Comet Kohoutek in 1974. Another one, camera for Kohoutek, a camera for Kohoutek. Sounds like a Hallmark movie. A Minuteman launch from Vandenberg. Another ESRO satellite launch from Vandenberg. Another secret satellite from Vandenberg. White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico. A Viking test from the Grant. Oh, goodness gracious. I just butterfingered some of these covers, so they're kind of catawampus now. There's another one from Greece. Oh, see, this is what I mean. Got it. This is signed by Jim F. South. Probably the mission controller, whatever, commander, chief. From Quito, Ecuador. Ecuador stamp. This, let's see. Oh, this goes with this cover. From the NASA Guam Tracking Station. Also signed by Charles Force, the director of the Guam Tracking Station. And the clipping included with it was, the lunar rover kicks up dust as Apollo-16 astronaut John Young races across the moon's surface in a test of the vehicle's performance at high speed. Another NASA, another Guam tracking station. Grand Bahamas tracking station. White Sands again, another camera photographing Kohoutek. Blah, blah, blah. University of Manchester, posted at Jodrell Bank, Great Britain. Apollo-16. Lieutenant Stephen Pease. This one mailed from Turkey. Another Guam tracking station. Canberra. What does this say? Well, it's a tracking station. Alaska. Mr. Zip was the director of the tracking station in Alaska. Viking spacecraft test. No, it's not from Finland. It's a U.S. stamp. Jodrell Bank. This one was Stamp Expo, what, in Anaheim. Anyway, they applaud Apollo. Another German tracking station, another Viking test. Oh, and then here's a big batch of just miscellaneous stuff, so I'll just kind of rip through these, let you get a quick glimpse of each one. All right, Intelsat 4. Okay, well, look. It was launched February 20th, 1975, and here's a clipping that says, from the next day, rocket destroyed after its launch was foiled. Space Agency officials said they blew up an Atlas Centaur rocket carrying the Intelsat 4 satellite Thursday night when the rocket tumbled out of control soon after launch. I hate when that happens. Another one, look at this. Another one destroyed in flight. Anik 1. Wasn't that from Star Wars? Anakin? I know, it's dumb. So, yeah. Got a lot of rockets fired here from Wallops Island, Virginia. Rocket fired. Stripey? 1975. This is a tater. This was a early one, I think. It's a tater tot. Here's a Nike Cajun. Another tater. Geos C satellite launch from a Thor Delta booster. Okay, Beaumark target. Let's just quickly get through the Skylab cache there. A balloon launch. Orbiting Solar Observatory from 1975. Explorer 49. Explorer 1, 1973. Oh, Symphony A. Maybe that goes in my classical music collection, huh? A French-German communications satellite. Telesat C, Canadian communications. Oh, another Symphony B. Intelsat 4. And the last Intelsat 4. I don't know how many there were. A Titan 3C rocket launching a communication satellite. Oh, this is from the Lyndon B. Johnson Space Center Stamp Club. Official commemorative cover for Skylab, carrying Carr, Gibson, and Pogue in 1974, January. Goddard Spaceflight Tracking and Data Network. Another satellite lifted off by Titan 3. Experimental payload. A Minuteman missile. ComSat, satellites for the global system. It says this is a flight. Where are we? Can we see that okay? It says it's a Flight Dynamics Organization Eyewitness to Space card. APS, Arapex 75, commemorative cover. For the third manned orbital flight with Walter M. Schirra Jr. That was from 1962. This is the 10th anniversary of that flight. Another Arapex 75 cover. Blank cover, no cache, no address. A Titan Centaur rocket launching a German Helios satellite. Apollo-Soyuz test project. Russian cosmonauts training in the USA. July 73. Here's the X-24 rocket plane. John Menke was a pilot on this flight. Einar Enevoldson on this F-111 cover. Mike Love, another X-24. Another X-24, John Menke. X-24, John Menke. Fitz Fulton in this YF-12 supersonic rocket jet. This one was Malik. Fitz Fulton. This one must have been unmanned, huh? This was for the lake bed landing. Oh, the flight was aborted. Colonel Sturmthal from 1975. John Menke again. Mike Love again. Malik again in the YF-12. And another satellite launch. Okay, so there's all those. Now here's some involving submarine-launched Polaris missiles. And this is from 1973, postmarked Cape Canaveral. It was a test firing from the Eastern Test Range, but the first stage malfunctioned and the flight was terminated. Next is another Polaris launch from 1975, the 15th anniversary, actually, of the first successful submerged Polaris launch from the USS George Washington. Polaris A3 from the USS Sam Houston in April of 75. Another Polaris A3 from the USS Thomas Edison from April of 75. And then, moving along, we have these from, or rather four, the Poseidon missiles. A submerged launch from the USS Simon Bolivar. Oh, that's strange. The USS Simon Bolivar. The Poseidon submerged launch from ETR. And I don't know what ETR is, but that's from the USS Lewis and Clark. The Poseidon submerged launch from the USS James K. Polk in January of 73. Submerged launch from the USS Henry L. Stimson from May of 73. The flight was terminated by range safety. There was a rabbit downrange, so. Poseidon C3 launched from the USS Alexander Hamilton. Looks like it was a successful. Poseidon C3 from the Alexander. Oh no, I spoke too soon. The flight was terminated by range safety. Okay, the next group. I like these. These are for the Mariner 10 mission. This is a covercraft cache honoring the Mariner 10 with the Mariner 10, which of course went to Venus and Mercury. Wasn't that a Paul McCartney song? No, that was Venus and Mars. Yeah. It came with a little explanatory card from Covercraft Caches explaining the Mariner 10 mission, unmanned space mission, of course, to the planet Venus and Mercury. Another Mariner 10 for the closest flyby on March 16th, 1975. Then we go on to the Pioneer 10 mission, which was a Jupiter flyby. It was actually, sounds like Gilligan's Island, it was actually a 21-month tour mission, which ended up lasting 30 years. Oh, here's a clipping that came with it. Well, it didn't come with it. It was stuck in there. Pioneer 10 on a nearly perfect Jupiter path. Well, as big as Jupiter is, any path would be perfect, I think. Here's from a Pioneer 11 flyby of Jupiter, April 73, launched. Moving on to these covers for Apollo-Soyuz, launched from the Kennedy Space Center. Oh, this was a splashdown. July 24th, 1975. The 6th anniversary of the splashdown. This one was for an experiment, MA-136, to study Earth's surface features. Another Apollo-Soyuz. This was for a cosmic ray light flash experiment. And one more Apollo-Soyuz for the docking module jettisoned for a tracking experiment. And then this was an insert card. I don't know which cover it came out of, but it shows the Apollo command module where the, of course, the astronauts live in there, and the service module where you have all the helium tanks, fuel cells, the scientific instrument module. All right, now this last batch is for ones. None of these previous covers are attributable to any organization, who produced them or, distributed them. But this one, the only clue I have is this was from the Postal Progress series. So I don't know whose series that was. Westar launched April 74 mailgram transmission via satellite. Then I have a couple of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 covers here. And these are from, it says Space Voyage. So I don't know who that's affiliated with. But this was for a balloon launch. Viking parachute test. Not a balloon launch? Well, there's a balloon launch. Well, I guess it's honoring two events, a balloon launch and then this parachute drop over White Sands. Another supersonic Viking parachute qualification test. Another supersonic Viking parachute qualification test. July 1972. We're still on this Space Voyage covers. This Ertz cover. This is from the FIDO, F-Y-D-O, Eyewitness to Space cover, number 5. And it says Cisco in the little logo there. So I don't know what that's about. Anyone who does know all this stuff, feel free to comment. There's another Space Voyage. This is for OA-03 Copernicus, launched by a Centaur rocket, the largest telescope in orbit, on August 21st, 1972. Now this last group, these are all from the Space City Cover Society of Houston. Now, the Space City Cover Society operated in Houston from 1967 to 1982. They also had their own local post, the NASA local post, and they created their own local post stamps. Now, it seems to have a pretty interesting history, this society, and it kind of went defunct in 1982, although somehow there are SSCS covers from 1983 to 92. But to find out information about this, you can go to the website called, oddly enough, DisneyLicensePlates.com. And after the demise of the society, and after the president of the company, Harry L. Anderson, died in 2010, all this information was in danger of being lost, and the website for DisneyLicensePlates.com took it on themselves to continue the legacy of the Space City Cover Society, and they have a page or several pages dedicated to gathering up the information and showing off the local post stamps and the covers produced by the society. And you can find that at nasalocalpost.disneylicenseplates.com. And all these covers in this last group are from Space City Cover Society. Here's one, and they're all easily identified. Down here, Space City Cover Society. This was for Pioneer 11 Jupiter Encounter, Mountain View, California, 1975, with the Pioneer Jupiter stamp. Another Pioneer Jupiter stamp with the Pioneer 11 launch in February of 75. Well, the cover is dated then. The launch was actually April of 73. Another Pioneer 10 from February 1975. The launch was March 72. This cover is from February 75. Okay, here's one from Still Space City Cover Society, but now it's after the demise of the society in 1982. And there's a new logo from whoever's producing these covers now, SCCS. And this one honored Sally Ride and the Space Shuttle STS-7. Also, you'll notice by this time they had gotten a mailer's postmark permit. And you can read about this on the Disney license plate website. They got their own mailer's postmark permit, which is an MPP is a postmark that a private person, me, you, anyone, or the society can get, and it allows you to postmark your own covers, and then you have to personally take them to a post office. You cannot drop these into a drop box. You have to deliver them to the counter person. But anyways, getting this MPP allowed them to postmark covers on days when the post office would be closed, like if there was a launch on a Sunday or a holiday when the post office was closed, and they could still get in what's essentially an official postmark. This one, another SCCS for another space shuttle launch, April 1983. This is the Challenger on its first operational mission. Another Challenger, STS-6. Here's for a landing on April 9th, 1983 at Edwards Air Force Base, California. Here's one for the Pioneer 10 spacecraft leaving the solar system's city limits and on its way to infinity and beyond. It left the solar system on June 13th, 1983. And here's the STS-7 Challenger space shuttle, launched on June 18th, 1983. STS-7 again. Its second operational mission, June 1983. And STS-8, August 30th, 1983. Its third operational mission. And that covers it for these space covers. So I hope you enjoyed that look at these space covers. And if you have anything to add to any of the information on these covers, please comment below or contact me at tedtalkstamps@gmail.com. I'd love to hear more. So, until next time, this is Ted the Talking Stamp Collector, thanking you for joining me once again and wishing you all happy stamping.